Hello, hello, good morning. Happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Knock, knock. Caroline, are you in the building? We are live with the Rebellious Business Show for another episode of answering questions from the Rebels.
Oh,
Some good ones today. How you doing, Caroline?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit grouchy.
Yeah, me too.
I think we're having a grumpy morning.
We are having a grumpy morning.
Sorry for being grumpy.
Holding space for everyone that's feeling grumpy this morning. I can't say holding space without vomiting and thinking about Ariana Grande now. That
Just with
term
you,
just reminds me of
hold your finger.
her
I would be holding your finger if I was with you.
holding my finger. Oh,
Have you seen the video?
no, but you told me about it and it wound me up a lot. I just hate that kind of thing.
That was what she did, like, because Cynthia Eriva's arm was like on a sofa, and Ariana was like, I just held her, and they zoomed in on this, like, you've got to
What a
watch.
moment.
It's
What a
so good.
heartwarming
And you know
moment.
what? Ariana Grande, like she did this thing. I mean, it's completely off topic, but she did like I think it was like a Graham Norton show or something like that. And she like said, I just had no idea what was going on. I was like, no, you didn't. You were just feigning emotions. Come on, own it. We get it. I don't know. We've gone off on a tangent.
We have, but that's fine. Good morning. Welcome to the Rebellious Business Show. My name's Cordelia. This is Caroline. If you are tuning in for the first time, we are live every Wednesday at 10:30 to bring you some useful information that will help you conquer the world.
Oh,
Essentially, we have a fun little link which we refer to as the Spill It link, where rebels just like you drop us things that they want us to cover on the show. We pick the best and then we jump on the show to talk about whatever it is you asked us to talk about. So please go ahead and click on that link and share some things with us. If you can think of anything, there are some prompts on the link to get you thinking of things you could share with us and ask us to talk about. But yeah, so that's what we're doing today. I'll check in with you guys on socials. Good morning. How are you? Are you having a good day so far? Are you grumpy? Can we blame it on the universe? We're a bit grumpy today. We're
it is
keeping
full moon.
full. Is it? Full? No, it's
Well,
not.
it was full moon a few days ago.
No, it wasn't. We're in. It's Ramadan. It's like the middle of Ramadan, and it's not a full moon until that's over, isn't it? I mean, I say that as if that would be really obvious. It's obvious for me because, like, I've got Muslim parts of my family, but yeah, I don't know.
Is it a full moon?
No, I don't think so.
Typing
Is it
in,
Mercury
typing in,
retrograde? No, I don't think so.
typing into Google. No,
It's not a full moon. No, so it's not that.
April 12th. The moon. This is the answer. Okay, I figured it out, Cordelia. The moon is waning in the gibbous phase.
For God's sake, I hate it when the moon is waning in the gibbous phase. Jesus Christ. I feel like
Oh,
I've got a
what
moon that's
relief.
waxing in the gibbous phase at the moment. That's the reason for my grumpiness. What's your excuse?
Well,
The moon is waning in the gibbous
a,
phase.
a similar reason, but not the same. In
Yeah.
terms of women grumpiness.
Yeah. The other reason when women get grumpy,
Yeah,
that
the other really reason I cried. What? But actually, now that I know it's the gibbous phase, that's made me feel so much better. I don't know about anyone else, but is anyone else relieved to know that we're in the moon is waning in the gibbous phase? Because that sure answers some questions.
it's so nice when you've got something to blame as well.
Yeah.
Like one thing I find about being a woman is that we can blame. Like often it's really disempowering when there's nothing to blame. It's like, oh no, I'm not due on, and I'm not pregnant, and I'm not in the menopause, so I can't blame anything. I'm I'm must
Yeah, but
just be
I've got a
moody.
partner. There's always something to blame.
It's nice to have something external to blame. I'm sure it's really unhealthy, isn't it?
So unhealthy. So
Oh well.
unhealthy. I could just
Fine.
be
We eat
a
McDonald's
really
sometimes. We're not perfect. We'll be unhealthy in the odd occasion. It's all right.
I think being grumpy is healthy. I read this thing the other day. Saw a reel, most
Witnessed,
likely.
experienced,
I,
digested.
I viewed a reel where all of the universe wisdoms reach us, which said that, completely lost what I was going to say.
Oh, damn it. I bet it was good.
It's gone.
Oh. Never
What
mind.
are you
Moving
talking
on. I saw a quote yesterday. I had to read it out to everybody in the house just to make them vom. It was really motivational. The
about?
worst motivational quote I have seen in ages. It was like something along the lines of, "They thought you were a storm until they realized you were the thunder." I was like, what does that even mean? Like, we're taking this a bit too far now, aren't we? Like, come on, let's rein it in a bit. Like, that is too far. I thought it
Outrageous.
was anyway.
I don't know. So you're basically just loud.
Yeah,
You're just
thunder. There we
you're
go.
just loud.
Yeah, here she comes. Here she goes. That was us this
That's
morning.
basically saying your bark is worse than your bite. It's quite offensive, really. It's like I'd like to be a bit more threatening than that. If I'm wielding my authority, I don't want to be just a growler, you know.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed
It's
that
open to perception because it basically doesn't mean anything, is what I've taken from it.
means
By
nothing.
the way, hello to everybody that has tuned in. Let us know that you are here. Drop a comment in the chat. And what's your mood this morning? We've just been explaining how grumpy we are today. I'm sure that's going to end after we've spent an hour with each other, just being silly and chatting with you
I
guys.
already got that.
Yeah, I already feel better as well. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I think? Right, before we even get into the first question, we impart some wisdom. If you
Okay.
both go, right, I'm also accepting that I'm being a bit of a dick, and the other one's like, yeah, me too. It's like, well, we can be fine then. Like, it's a good like you can always come back to center and be happy if both people. We don't blame. We're not blaming the gibbous phasing of the wounds waning. Anyway, so yeah. Cool. I'm so upset that I forgot about that reel. But anyway, Cordelia.
Question number one. Should
Yes.
I start running ads to bring in clients from Anon, which is
On.
anonymous?
Yeah, okay.
Should I start running ads to bring in clients? I mean, it's a very vague question. I would need to like do an analysis of your business, like have a look at where you're at. Have you got an audience? Have you been doing anything
You don't
organically?
want to make it easy
Have
today,
you
do
got clients already? Like, have you got proof of concept? Have you
Oh
have you got
yeah.
an MVP that you've pushed and sold, or are you established? Are you now at the point where you've been fully booked word of mouth and you want to start scaling?
If they tick all those boxes, do you reckon they should run ads?
I mean, those were all different places. Like, I think we need to have a look at that. I would say whether you should run ads or not depends on what you have in place already. Do you have, number one, do you have something to run ads to? Mistake number one I see people making is they go and get an agency to set up ads for them, and they have ads running to their website, or even worse, ads running to a contact form on their website, or ads running to a book a call with me on their website. Terrible idea. So you want
Terrible.
to have you want to basically have a funnel that you have tested that works, that you're like, yes, if I put money behind this, I can hedge my bets on the fact that if I put this much money into it, this is the output I will get out of it. Otherwise, it's gambling.
Yeah, and if you've got an unlimited pot of money, why not? I mean, there's a value of like if you don't have it. Here, I think that's the point. That sounded really dismissive. I didn't mean it like that. I was like, if
That's
you
all right.
have
I let you off.
money, you can throw it into ads. We use ads, so there's no bitterness towards
And
ads.
also, we started out in marketing with ads at the beginning. So we have both run a business that began with running ads. And
And
that was like an affiliate marketing business that we ran. So
and
we
that
have done it that way around as well and spent a lot of money on ads.
and that was the thing, is that wasn't that fruitful in that sense. It was in some ways, but the experience of doing that and investing the money was the education needed to be able to run ads effectively now. So it's like a two-part thing. It's like, don't if you haven't got anything proven or whatever and you want to run ads, like if you haven't got proven funnel at least and you want to run ads, just know that you have to spend a lot to learn, because you need to, like, it's their information, so you'll get the data from the ads, and that's great if you can sustain that. So like if you want to say like I want to start running ads, I want to learn ads, I would honestly say best off not going through an agency, because you with an not that then they're more experienced, but with an agency, you're they know that the results take time to get. They know that they need to learn your business and funnel. So you're better off, say, like allocating a budget each month that you can say, I'm going to use this to learn ads by running ads and seeing what the metrics do, and not to deviate from that budget, to be like, because you need to like, sometimes that budget might yield you a result. It doesn't mean you scale. It means you go, okay, is it reliable? So then they'll run the same thing the next month, and what were the results? And you might find that
Yeah.
like it takes you 4 months to get that same result, and then you've got that like data going, okay, I thought at first it was great because I got an instant client from this ad campaign, but then that wasn't consistent. That was like a
Yeah.
one thing. But then 3 months later, after I spent more than the client was worth, I got another client. So then you go, okay, that works, but it's not cost effective. So then you can optimize.
Mhm.
But you need to know that, like, and even us now, like we've been running ads to a particular funnel for over a year now, and we can look back at all that historical data and go, brilliant, we can now make these changes. And we
Yeah.
knew that going in. We knew that we need to pace ourselves. We can't get excited by immediate wins. We can't get deflated by apparent losses. You have to just be like, I need to invest this much money for this much time,
Mhm.
and then review what that means. And in 5 years' time, what all the data we've accumulated is going to paint an even more vivid picture. Only if we're consistent, though. If we keep chopping and changing, we're never going to get an idea of what's working. So
Yeah.
the best way to do it is to have an organic funnel first. If you can't afford to put all that, or if you don't want to put that budget in, not necessarily afford, but if you don't put the budget in, and even if you do put the budget in, you really want to have something tested, because again, we did know it worked anyway
I
before we
think
got into it. So we just ramped up what was working, basically.
there's another side to this as well, which isn't about just money and testing. It's also about building an organic audience first.
Mhm. Oh yeah, that's
So
good.
with organic, what I mean by that is I mean that you didn't pay for that audience. You went out and you basically put out adverts, you did outreach, or you went networking and you built up a bit of a foundation. And that is a really powerful way to get started, because that organic audience will be the basis of your audience that you create for your ads. So when you're running ads, there's a difference between a warm audience and a cold audience, in the sense that warm audience are people that have had a touch point with you before, and you can create even more sort of tight-knit pools of people within that audience to be like, these people have done loads of touch points with me before, or these people have bought something from me before. These people are just, but you've got to have at least 1,000 people in that warm audience to really be able to create a lookalike audience from it, or to really market to that audience using ads effectively at all. So you want to be building that up as an asset to then use for ads in the future. Now, I think if you go straight into ads and you don't have that warm audience to target as a warm audience or create a lookalike audience from, you can actually have a much harder time as well in terms of making friends, building trust, building relationships with your new acquired audience, because you've got to have to work really hard to prove that you are credible and reliable and trustworthy if you don't have that basis in place. I think that it's much easier to run ads once you've established a bit of an organic audience. Plus, that organic audience will rally behind you and support your brand as well, which is really powerful. And the work that you did to build that will be there displayed on your social media accounts, so that when people come and look you up, you've got content there. You've got a history of things in your highlights or pinned posts. There are reviews, there are things there which is good, adds to you being credible and will improve the likelihood that you convert with ads, right? So it can be quite sharky out there once you run cold ads to people that have never met you before, trying to promise them outcomes and promise them solutions, and they don't trust you and they don't know you and they're a bit skeptical. It's much easier to start getting those negative comments, and it's much easier to bat away those negative comments if you've got that baseline of this is my community, this is what I've established, this is, you know, where I've got so far, and then you just build on that with ads. So that's
Mm.
another side of things. I think it's hard to go straight into ads without having that established first.
Yeah, it is really hard, especially. And another thing as well is like low ticket. Like, I actually remember once I had a client, and she wanted to run ads to something that cost £5 or something like that, and it was all cold. And I was like, you're going to spend £100 minimum to sell that. But just, and that's not even learning. I mean, that's not true against all cases. I can't say I know all conversion costs and stuff, but especially if you're starting out and you've got a low ticket product, which, you know, the question was like, should I run ads to get clients?
Mm.
The good thing about clients is that you can have you can charge more for your time, so they can compensate. But if you've got a low ticket product and you're starting from scratch, ads are just, they're not going to work. I think I
Yeah.
can say that with authority. Yeah.
It's also just so individual. Again, like I go back to what I said at the beginning, like really to answer this question properly in a way
Yeah.
that's going to be helpful to you, like we really need to jump in, have a look at what you've got, what you've been doing, and what assets you have in place in terms of audience and funnel and lead magnets and all that kind of stuff. Um, and results of tests that you've done, and data that you've got to really kind of go, yeah, you would do really well to start running ads from this point. um yeah, it's a very case by case thing, I would
Mm.
say,
Yeah.
but definitely one that's really powerful to be moving, like working towards. And I spent 2 years building, 2 years, 3 years building our organic audience, partly with you, partly on my own, because you know 2 of those years were before you joined Rebellious, and then you joined and we spent another year building things out organically, and then we started running ads, and that's a good chunk of time. But you know, in that time we did 500,000 off of the first 2,000 leads that came in. And it's just to do with that real warm organic approach to marketing your business. And I think that you can do incredibly well organically. I remember seeing Rachel Hollis speak on stage at Traffic and Conversion Summit back in 2018, I think it was. And she was saying that she got her business to like multi seven figures and hadn't ran a single ad. She'd done it all without ads. So it's possible to do it organically, but the ones that succeed really well focus on that community side of things and creating a movement for their brand and bringing people together as a marketing method. And that is a really powerful method. And that's why that's the method that we teach the most with our clients, because it's so powerful and it's what got us to where we are. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And a few people to where we are, not to where we are. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to give a shout out to Jasmine, who's in the comments. Love the comments. Who says that I mean, it's I think it's just a statement. We can't really. Sorry, 1 second. Let me see the thread. Show me the thread. She said, "I'm looking to scale my business with an online fitness offer." And I think in relation to what we're talking about, as in like, you know, I can't really give any insight into ads, but one thing she did say, she's fully booked with personal training, which is great. It's such a milestone to get there. Like, lots of people struggle to get clients as a trainer, so there's obviously something you're doing that's right, that's connecting to people. You're like, there's something good that you're doing to be fully booked. But now you're in the stage of like transitioning from one-to-one to whatever the next stage is. And she says, "I'm fully booked for personal training, so looking to create pre-recorded version for beginners," which is great. Like, it's really cool.
And my suggestion to you would be, as a really good way to do that, because we're actually working on this with a client of ours at the moment, who is a personal trainer and is developing now a membership. And one of the things that we're doing is, well, you want to be leaning on the customer base that you've already got as the foundation. And so whatever online offer that you want to create, instead of doing pre-recorded, I recommend you do something live, like some kind of live membership that you can automate and turn into pre-recorded moving forwards. Because when you're in the testing phase of a minimum viable product, you really want to test live as much as possible because you're going to get as much feedback. You're going to get so much more feedback on, the things that you're testing. It's really hard to get feedback on things that are very passively digested, and also you want people to be digesting that content. And a lot of the time when it's passive and pre-recorded, we don't. It just sits there. So the reason why you want that is because you want those testimonials. You want people's words and people's recommendations in and around how awesome this membership has been, or how awesome this live version, online version has been. But include your existing client base in that first and foremost. So you've got them in there as a baseline. Like, don't see it as like two separate groups, your local in-person one-to-ones, and then your online kind of thing over here as something separate. Like, use them as your baseline in terms of like, what could I create that would be really helpful for them to bolt onto what I'm doing with them one-to-one and what they're doing in the gym, like that they could also do with me online if they can't get to the gym, or after they finish working with me one-to-one, and you build it for them because they're the ones that the best. Build it live. And I would essentially, like, in terms of the product, that's how I would handle it. And then what you want to be doing is doing kind of maybe like live demos, or building a community, or having some kind of segue that comes into that live content. But yeah, Jasmine, do reach out, send one of us a DM if you want some further support with talking about what that could look like for you. We'd be happy to hash some things out. But yeah, cool beans. Should we move on to the second question, Caroline?
One.
Should we go silly or serious?
We need to have
we need a bit of silly, don't we? We need a wheel, silly or serious. Should we? I mean, I could make one in 2 seconds if I give you the fluffy back.
No more gadgets. No.
Literally, it'll take me 2 seconds.
Okay. Or we can just say, Siri, flip a coin, and heads is. I did it too fast.
I've already done it. I'm faster than Siri. Right, ready?
You're absolutely not faster than Siri.
Oh, I am in this instance.
Okay. Wow. Wowee. Okay.
Are you proud of me?
I am. Yes, this is brilliant. Go on,
I mean,
spin.
I can't actually seem to get the thing to spin. Why? Am I annotating? Why am I annotating my own screen?
So zoom in
to spin. Here we go. Silly or serious? We are going serious. Okay, fine.
Let's bring that's good. We'll end on a high.
We'll end on a high. Silly questions saved till last. So the serious question is, people always say I should show up as an authority, but I feel like a total imposter. How can I get past this? And this is from a lady called Isla. Thank you for your question, Isla. It's a great question. She wants to show up, or she's told she should show up, but she feels like an imposter. You ever had that before?
I actually don't really get imposter syndrome. I know well, maybe I
think that means you're not pushing yourself hard enough, personally.
I think I felt it more recently, actually, because I tell you how I felt it more recently. This is not the answer. This isn't the question I've been asked. Wait, we'll go on a little. Okay, so I just feel completely ill-equipped to answer this question because I've only recently started feeling imposter syndrome. And I don't even think it's imposter syndrome. So it's just basically where the business has got big, it feels like we've stepped out of the realm of like delivering a service and working one-to-one with clients, which totally has never made me feel out of my depth. I mean, there's areas where it's like, wow, it's a bit dicey this month. There's been challenges, but I've never felt like I'm not equipped for what we're doing, except recently where I'm like, it feels like it's getting bigger. And I'm like, I don't know how to run a bigger business. Like I've not trained for that. Like I've been like thinking about that so much more where I'm like, am I, and I even wonder about the distinction between business owner and like CEO or COO, whatever those C-level roles are. And I'm like, maybe I don't even need to be the person who runs it eventually, because just because I own it doesn't mean I have to run it, because I think maybe there might be people that are better at scaling a business. I don't know. I mean, I'm open to the challenge, but that has definitely made me go, oh God, I feel a bit out of my depth. But that I don't know if that's imposter syndrome or if it's like, new territory.
Look, I think first and foremost, I really feel like we've got a bit of a thing in our what's it industry? We're an industry of industries. The online business world, the like online entrepreneurial industry, there is a real kind of um, load of negative talk about imposter syndrome because there's all of this stuff on how to overcome imposter syndrome. Overcoming imposter syndrome is a flipping marketing buzzword.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's been turned into a marketing buzzword because it's like, well, here's a problem that I could help you solve as a coach. You have imposter syndrome? I'll help you get around it. The reality is that I actually think that we need to rebel against that a bit and be like embracing imposter syndrome and stop naming it a syndrome. Like why is it being called an illness? It's not an illness. It just means that you are being freaking brave. You're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. You're stepping into a new version of yourself. You're doing things you've never done before. You're saying, yeah, I'm capable of that before you actually feel 100% ready. And that is incredible. Like, you should
Mm.
take your hat off to yourself that you are one of the people that are brave enough to do that. If overcoming that means playing it safe and feeling comfortable, then I would say, well, actually, I think that's the thing that we need to overcome is the fear of stepping outside of that comfort zone and stepping into being feeling like you're an imposter. So I reject it entirely. I think bloody kudos to you, Isla. You're feeling like you've got imposter syndrome means that you're pushing yourself. Now the question is, how do I continue to push myself and deal with the pit in my stomach or stop the pit in my stomach from stopping me from moving forward? And I think that's the question to address.
To me, though, that sounds like you also don't struggle with it because,
I
like,
do struggle with it. I do. Flipping
what
hell
is it?
do.
What actually is it?
I just reframed it ages ago.
But what is it then? Like, I don't actually even know if I understand what it is because I see people talking about it. So I saw this interview as well where this athlete, this woman said to her, "How do you deal with imposter syndrome?" She's like, "I've never had it. I feel like very proud of where I am. I think I've done everything to earn it. I don't have any issues with where I am." I was like, "Yeah, I resonate with that. I feel that." But I was like,
It's
I actually, in that sense, it means that I don't really know what imposter syndrome is technically, and I think that sounds really
question.
like, I've got my own issues. I've got other issues, guys. Don't worry. But
It's a
like,
bit the theme of this quarter, isn't it? Us realizing we've got like different definitions of things, and
yeah,
that's the point. Let's stop and take stock. Like, what is, guys? For those of you who are watching, I want you to type in the chat. How would you describe imposter syndrome to someone? Type it in the chat. Let's see
like
what everyone thinks in terms of like the definition of that. For
is.
me, it's when you feel really uncomfortable and you question whether you're good enough or to be doing the audacious thing that you've decided to do. It's like going, for instance, the first time I got asked to speak on stage at Expert Empires, and the thing in my head was like, oh, but I'm not actually that amazing at what I do. Like, I
Mm,
just kind of winged it. Like I've just kind of got here because I got here. Like I'm not an expert. Like, I didn't go to university for this. I didn't like. No one's given me permission. Like I've just kind of done it
yeah.
myself. And it's that sort of that self-doubt where you're like, am I actually? Am I actually like the expert that I'm putting myself out there to be? Am I actually good enough for this? Like, and I think that comes up when you like say yes before you're ready to something and you
Mm,
go for it. And there are moments, and I know, Caroline, there are moments where you have felt anxious because you told me you felt anxious about certain things, and I've had that, and I think it's natural to feel that when we do
That's
push
what I
ourselves.
asked you next. I was like, do you see it in me? Because maybe I'm just not understanding the definition. Because I definitely know that I have limitations,
Yeah,
experience limitations, but I've just never really resonated with the term imposter syndrome because I don't feel like an imposter. Like, I'm just like, but
yeah,
I do feel like scared and I feel like anxious sometimes, but I don't think it comes in the sense of like I'm not supposed to be here or I'm not
yeah.
qualified, even though sometimes I look back and go, I really wasn't qualified for that. Like I feel now, I feel like this massive sense of pride because I had no idea what this journey would take me on. And I think I went in with a bit more of a cavalier spirit than I probably was equipped with or equipped
Yeah.
for. now I'm like, but that for me has got me to the point where I'm like, well, yeah, I really, I do belong here, but I probably, I don't know. I think maybe I've always just felt very confident, I think. But I'm interested whether you see what you describe as imposter syndrome in me, because I don't feel like I resonate with that. But that doesn't mean I feel like,
Only occasionally do I see, and actually, I love the we've got comments in the chat that are just basically confirming. Oh, Chris Robert says it's lack of self-confidence. John Denley says imposter syndrome is thinking I'm not qualified or experienced enough to be doing the thing. And I agree entirely. I think that's exactly it. It's in that lens of stepping into doing something you haven't done before, or that you're not comfortable with yet. Like it's a new thing or a new role or
uh,
a
I
new
love
zone
it.
that you're in, and then having self-doubt that you're basically good enough to be in that role, or you are equipped enough or expert enough or experienced enough to be in that role. And that's where the feeling of being imposter comes from, in the sense that it's like, oh, let's say you're in the corporate world and you get a promotion. I got it when I qualified to be a nurse. I actually qualified to be a nurse, and I went to the GP and I was like, I can't believe they've said I can be a nurse. Like I can't I
Wow.
actually feel like I'm going to be a terrible nurse. I might end up killing someone. Like this was really, I'm really bad at, like, I'm really scared. Like, and I really freaked out. I like
Oh
opened up to my GP about
my
how freaked out I was about the fact that I was going to be like a qualified nurse and like be in charge of oxygen and blood transfusions and cannulas and all these things. And I was like, I don't know if I like, what did they do that by accident? Like, how did I get through the flipping thing? And then, I got into nursing, and I was good at it, and I was a great
God.
nurse, and I got comfortable with it, and I didn't have that feeling anymore. But definitely as a newly qualified nurse, I felt like that. So yeah, I think it's pretty normal. And I think
I think, do you know what then? I think my answer to that question, because I don't think I've ever had that experience. And because I think I almost see as like the fact I'm there is proof enough. So I
mm,
accept, so, and also I have a real deep faith in myself. Now I have obviously, I say this, like I've got issues, I've got things like, my own limitations, my own whatever. But in terms of like faith in myself, it's very strong. So when I
mm,
am faced with something, I'm like, this is new, this is challenging, this is big. I have this voice that says, you can solve it. Like you can, this is just a challenge to solve. And I think that I've noticed that I really do show up in a way of like problem solving. Like I'm a big problem solver, and I find it confusing sometimes, or like difficult when there's problems that are presented to me and the person isn't, it's like solving it, and I'm like, it's okay, we just solve it. Like I've
yeah,
got this very like, and it can probably be cavalier or flippant, but I'm very much like, it's okay, it's just everything is solvable in a way, and you're here because you're meant to be here to solve this exact problem. So you're like, just because you're not equipped right now, or just because it's like, or like you've got things to go forwards, it's okay. So I think it's more just like a positive self-talk of like, you've got where you are, and like whatever's ahead of you that's challenging, you need to go through it to solve it, and you can solve it. I think that's
yeah,
just, I think it's, if you've got imposter syndrome, i've never really I've never really thought too much into, like those, having those mantras, right? But I just realized like I have that already in me of like, you can solve this, or like this just sense of self, a sense of faith within in
yeah,
myself. And so you know what, I reckon that there's some like negative self-talk, or like positive self-talk that you can practice to like instill comfort in that sense. And I know there's going to be, there's things that I can do in different areas where I probably need to have a positive voice or positive framing. So I guess, yeah,
be both though. I think you can know that you can do something. Like I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in myself. Like there's
I
definitely
think
been
that
an
you under
unwavering amount of self-belief. That doesn't mean that I've never experienced imposter syndrome. I've got both. I've had both. And I think what I'm realizing as we're talking as well is that there must be so many different varying degrees of how this feels for people,
yeah.
based on how much self-belief and self-confidence that you have, and all of that can be worked on. But I still think that it's unhealthy for us to be looking at imposter syndrome as a thing
Yeah.
that is like, I don't think that necessarily.
Labels aren't
Yeah,
necessarily that supportive, especially, and especially we know this. You like a label only means something to the individual giving it the label. So everyone's experience is
yeah,
different. So, like, in us going into this, I mean, someone might sit down with me and say, "You've got imposter syndrome in this way." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, right. Well, I know that, but I'm not, there's no other way I can label myself with that." And maybe it's a
yeah,
really good thing that I don't have that label.
yeah,
Like if you look into the symptoms of it, I always say that actually, what's the point of that's not really fair because some people really care about the fact they've got a label and feel very validated by that. I understand that. But the label itself is not practical in itself in helping you overcome that situation. So if you break it down to symptoms, like
mhm,
this label means that this is what happens. This is my behaviors. This is how I show up in the world. And you go, okay, well, in that situation, I don't want to do that. So yes, I have this label. Yes, I have this whatever. But actually, this is the practical implications of it. I want this to change. So when this happens, I'm going to give myself a positive chat. Say, I have faith in my ability to resolve whatever comes, you know? Uh,
yeah.
but I guess living in the label, yeah, this has come up a little bit actually recently in my life.
Externalizing it, isn't it? Whereas actually there it could be made up of multiple things that you can work on that would then kind of remove that as a blocker from stopping you. And I think we should re-anchor this by now talking to Isla, who's asked us this question. She
Yeah.
said, people always say I should show up as an authority, but I feel like a total imposter. How do I get past this? The question really is why? Like what is it about that that's making you feel like an imposter? And to sit and explore that and look into it, because it might be that it's actually childhood trauma that's
Mhm.
making you feel um like ashamed for trying to play a bigger game than what you've been told you are capable of. Or it could be a number of things. Like it really could be a lot of different things. And it's not necessarily to do with imposter syndrome, or that it could be to do with the fact that there's some work to be done in some areas there. But I would say feel proud of yourself for pushing yourself to the point where you're feeling that uncomfortable, because without doing that we can't see the things in the areas that we need to work on, and we're just playing it safe and keeping ourselves too small. And Caroline, even though maybe the label of imposter syndrome doesn't fit the bill. Like, you have seriously freaking worked on yourself, and so have I. And that is just
Expecting a different end to that sentence.
it's a,
I was expecting you have serious limitations.
no.
That's
You
what I
have
was expecting.
seriously worked on
Yeah.
yourself. Like, I've seen you do it. And you've seen me do the same. And that is, I think, for me in my journey, that is a result of me wanting to push myself to, like, places where I've had to grow personally to get there. And that's not just business, but it's also with relationships, with being a mum, with wanting to achieve certain things in my life, and not being happy with where I am, and not wanting to stay there, wanting to move into a different place. And I think anybody that does that needs to work on themselves. And anybody that does that and has put themselves in that position where they're now working on themselves to achieve something different, it's massive bravery. And there are a lot of people that just don't do that at all. And yeah, Isla, kudos to you,
I
smashing
guess
it.
that's always my answer. Not that I know, like, I think my answer to all mindset problems is the same. It's like, do the work. You got to do the
Yeah,
work, like, no matter
you
what
have
it is.
to work.
I don't think that's very fair because it's a very blanket thing. But my experience, working on myself has been the only thing that's ever helped me overcome any mental barrier, no matter what label I put on it. And I've had clinical labels as well, which shouldn't have been resolved through, clinical labels that are like, this is you forever. You are this person. This is your label. And I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, that's me. And that has been resolved through working on myself. So technically, that shouldn't have been an outcome. So I think the answer to all mindset problems is to work on yourself. But I do, there's obviously cases. I don't want to tell. I don't like the rhetoric that is like, there's a lot of like positive stuff, like you can do anything, you can be anyone. And it's not that I don't think those positive messages are healthy. It's that I think a lot of people who don't know how to work on themselves or don't know how to get there, there's a then new opportunity for them to beat themselves up for not being able to be optimistic all of the time, or
Mm.
feel like, or get rid of the imposter syndrome, or get, there's a real, if you can't reach a mental milestone, this pace of manifestation where everything comes to you easily and flowingly or whatever it is, there's another opportunity for you to beat yourself up. I do get that. But
Mhm.
I think if that the only mental resolve I've ever experienced is through working on myself. So that's the only thing I can recommend.
Well, what I will suggest as well is that we have talked about this in great detail, and the work that we've been doing on ourselves on our podcast on the show, which is turned into a podcast you can listen on the go. And it's also on the website in the form of a blog and on the YouTube channel. So there's various places you can find it. I've just Googled for one of them and I'll drop a link in the chat. This one's called Embracing the Ugly Cry with Caroline and Tonia. But yeah, that would be a good one to have a look at if you feel like that could
I
be
tell you
helpful.
what, I might have actually. Do you know what? I'm going to end it there because we have gone over this topic. I really hate teaching people things. I do think I have like a bit of an imposter syndrome there, maybe, because sometimes I feel like
Mm.
I don't I don't like coming across as someone who is, I think, you know what, I don't like coming across as someone who isn't human and has the like, who's perfect, because I think like, to impart wisdom, not that you have to be perfect, but you have to be better in that area than other people. And I
Mm.
find that when I'm sharing information or putting stuff out there, I've got this thing where I'm like, I don't want to come across like I'm better than someone. I think I find it like I always
Okay.
find
I mean, you say
myself,
you're going to end it here, but I mean, that is a big thing for us to unpack, actually. Like, that would be quite a big topic
well,
because,
I
yeah,
just I think
like I feel the opposite. So
I
it'd be
just
really interesting to unpack that. I don't think
I think
that's an
it's because
ending statement.
I think I come across as arrogant, and I hate that. I even
Yeah.
just saying earlier, I'm like, oh, I don't have imposter syndrome. John wrote this comment in the chat, which really made me laugh because I was like, oh God, I don't want everyone to read that. He said, coming from my neuroscience, putting my neuroscience hat on for a moment, I suspect we would find people who struggle, brackets, versus Caroline who doesn't. And I well, I do. I don't want to come across like I don't struggle. I do struggle. So I find that really hard to like be like, I mean, I'm human. I'm sensitive and I have problems, but here, here's life wisdom. I don't know. I feel a bit lost.
I think it just comes down to what we said at the beginning, which is the fact that really and truly, we've all probably got a slightly different definition of what imposter syndrome means.
Mm,
Caroline, you don't necessarily relate to it, but you definitely do relate to other kind of ways of discussing personal development and working on yourself and accepting and talking about and owning your flaws and your triggers and the things that you have to work on and that you personally struggle with, the same as the rest of us. It's just that one specific label just doesn't resonate with you, and that's okay. I mean, that's
mm.
how I see it personally.
Yeah, I just don't. You know what? I don't love being an authority. I think that's it. I don't love being an authority on a subject. And when you talk about it, you assume the position of
Mm.
being an authority.
Well, I mean, and that is what Isla has said, is that she's been told to show up as an authority.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, look at it come back into
so
me.
that's quite interesting, full circle there. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh, I don't know what to say then, Isla. Me too.
yeah, and I would say that I would say like take the pressure off as well. Like I love to me and Caroline got on this show today and we just owned that we're grumpy. Like why are we pretending to be perfect when actually we're just human? Like just own it. I remember we had the show once and Caroline couldn't make it last minute and I jumped on and I said to everyone, guys, I'm here on my own today and I feel at a loose end because we were doing this new format of things and I said can you all look after me? And they all just jumped, they just got behind me and they looked after me and they'd unmute and get involved and answer questions and save me if I was messing up on the tech and whatever. And that kind of relatability is so important in business because you don't want to put yourself on a pedestal. People are already putting you on a pedestal anyway. You put yourself on a pedestal and you'll just be even further away from being relatable to your audience. So I would say, like, have a look at maybe what you think being an authority means, because actually you've only got to help someone who's one step behind you get to the next step. And you don't have to pretend that you're an expert and that you know it all. You'll do so much better to keep it humble and own that actually you will get things wrong sometimes and you mess things up and you're not perfect and you've just figured you're just a few steps ahead rather than all the way over there. And Joe Dispenza, for instance, is completely unrelatable in the sense of his journey versus your journey, right? You don't want to pretend to be like that far ahead because it actually comes with a bit of a downside, which is that you're now like kind of like really unrelatable and very far away from the reality of the people around you. So yeah, keep it real. Be honest about how you feel, and even go online. So, do you know what? I've been told I need to show up like an authority. I know some stuff on this subject. I'll be honest with you. I feel like a bit of an imposter. Anyone else felt like that? Address the elephant in the room and own it. What people going to do? What are they going to say? Oh, see, I knew she wasn't very good. Okay, big deal. But you know your stuff up to what you know, and that's I would say just own it. Keep it real.
All day, really.
Oh, it's a good subject. It's a great question, Ida. Thank you so much. There's no point spinning the wheel again because there's only one thing left on it, and it's silly. So, what the silly? Oh, it's not that silly, but it's the next question is if a celebrity got to run your business for a week, who would you pick? And would it be a complete disaster? And this is from
Probably Stephen Bartlett. That'd be great.
Yeah, just pick a obviously. I mean, I'm not into celebrities.
Sugar.
Alan Sugar. No.
I guess we can't. It's not fair for us to pick like entrepreneurs, like successful
They're the only bloody celebrities I'm interested
You love Hosier. I was thinking this. It's like
Hosier, yeah.
all of our emails would be so lyrical and beautiful.
I do love Hosier, but I wouldn't have him run my business for a week.
No. No.
It would be like Hormozy or someone like that, but
it's scary. It's hard though, because the main thing about the business is like who we are. So even if someone's very good at scaling a business or at that next level, it doesn't mean that they know how to make my business go to that next level. I mean, they're going to know like the strategies and stuff like that, but it's our interpretation and spin on the strategy that's going to get to the next level. Like, I guess that's when we work with clients. Oh, look at us. I'm pretending I'm the celebrity in this situation. When we work with clients, we don't run their business for them, but we give them this like a strategy, and we work with them to apply their uniqueness and their unique value and their USP onto our strategy. So although I suppose Alex Hormozy probably knows that. He probably knows that
I'm seeing it a bit like those TV programs like Wife Swap or like My daughter's been watching one which is like Rich House Poor House, where like two families swap. So just play the game a minute. Who would you pick?
Okay. Am I imagining super nanny, super entrepreneur coming into Rebellious?
Yeah.
My God, it just made me think of Gordon Ramsay coming in and screaming at me.
Could you imagine like picking things up off of them? I mean, that would be what I would be terrified of, is that like I'm like, God, I'm going to come back in hang on, is it a month or a week that we're giving a business? A week. If a celebrity had to run the business for a week, I feel like we'd come back in a week and need to like pick the reins back up, and like it'd be like my mum's been in my kitchen and just reorganized everything. I don't know where anything is anymore. Like, I don't know.
Gordon Ramsay, I tell you that much. He'd scare me.
What I would do though is I think, how can I leverage this?
Yeah.
And I'd be tactical about it and be like, right, okay, so we're gonna have, and we're gonna have like this person come into the business for a week and make a thing of it, and turn it into a bit of a documentary of like what happens and whatever, and get the clients all on board with, being managed by this celebrity for a week, get them excited by it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
You turn it
document it
into
on
a
socials a lot,
party. Yeah. Yeah.
turn
Yeah.
it into a bit of a show piece, for a bit of publicity. That would be fun.
Hmm.
I don't think it would be a disaster. I mean, what damage can someone do in a week?
What could we do? The things that we've got for them to damage are system and client relationships. So we could resolve the client relationships if they went and mucked those up. The system,
It definitely wouldn't be getting Gordon Ramsay in. But don't you think that people would be forgiving because it was a celebrity?
yeah.
Like,
No, well, it's more the thing that would upset is the system. The system. Although
mm,
I reckon if someone came in and tore our system down, we would then have a reason to rebuild it better and like without the
we'd just sue them and be fine. Rebuild this system you tore down.
yeah.
John is saying Russell Brunson, and see, I actually disagree. I love Russell Brunson as a person. I think he's awesome. A good egg, let's just say. But do you know what? I don't really love his marketing tactics. And so I think that even though he's very smart and he can generate a lot of money, I think that in terms of like how he markets is a little bit too pushy for what it is that how we want to show up. And also we'd need to bring someone in that was like had that kind of human connection spirit rather than, wanting to just focus on numbers and scale. Like there's got to be a balance between the two for me. And I feel like the stack and close and, the big domino and all of that doesn't really fit our brand very well. Now, I'm sure he would do wonders and be amazing. And if I actually met him and he could look at our business for a week, I would take all his advice and at least consider it, obviously. He's an absolute legend and incredibly clever. But like from reading his books and, trying out some of his strategies, they just didn't feel great. It's not really my cup of tea, not really my jam. I think I've probably, do you know what? But I used to be a number one fan of Rachel Hollis. Like, I really feel sad that is not the case anymore. But I would have definitely gotten her in if we were in
Yeah,
2018.
but I don't know if she what did it was I don't think she ran the business, like not ran the business. It was Dave that was the CEO, I think.
No, but she went live every day with Dave. She was in the business longer than Dave. It was her business. He left Disney to come and work with her, and she was just very community focused.
Mm. Yeah, okay. So yeah.
And that's what I'd want. I want someone that's community and tribe running focused.
Is she not running the business anymore?
Um, yeah, I'm kind of out of touch with it all since she left Dave. My heart got broken, and that was it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what the answer to this question is, to be honest. I'm not
My
really into celebrities either. I was brought up by a man who founded the Isle of Wight Festival, and he doesn't like he doesn't go like crazy about celebrities. And he's actually instilled it into me to like be a bit cool about stuff like that. Like you would like if there was a famous person in the room, I'd never go up to him and be like, oh my God, it's you. I'd like play it really cool and just be like, oh hey, you're right. Great to see you. Nice to meet you. Your name's Russell, right? Yeah. I'm Cordelia. It's great to meet you. Like I'd play it really cool because that kind of thing makes me cringe to like scream about celebrities. So I don't know if that's because of my dad, because he like, he's met Bob Dylan and like big names, and
Bob Dylan's like
he's
much like king of the world, isn't he? If you met, but like, yeah. If your dad met Bob Dylan and was like worked with him, it's like, well, that's the celebrity, it's the peak of celebrity luster. Like you can't get bigger
yeah.
than it,
And
really.
his friends, like his close friends with Rory Sutherland, like I'm not gonna say like I've been brought up around loads of celebrities and I'm not phased by it, but it's more that I've learnt that mentality from him. So I don't worship celebrities
Get
in that.
Rory. I'd get Rory Sutherland to run our business for a
Sutherland,
week.
well, Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe.
Creative wizard.
He is an absolute wizard.
Yeah, proper wizard.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I think we should put a pin in this question. I think the answer's getting a bit boring to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. The other
Yeah.
imposter syndrome is better.
Yeah, imposter syndrome was great. It was a great question, Isla. Sorry, Dave, about not loving your
Oh,
celebrity. I've
Kishan
just brought
says
that
I can
into
do a session.
celebrities.
Kishan says I can do a session on the principles of branding. I don't know. Did
Oh,
we have sessions?
um, well, sessions wise, if anybody's seen sessions, because I think John mentioned about doing a session, it's actually one of the things that we have inside the Rebels Business Tribe. We support our members of the Rebels Business Tribe to build authority and credibility through something that we give them, which is a promo pass. And the promo pass is where they're allowed to promote their business in front of our audience. Audience being mainly the biggest kind of juiciest pool of people to promote in front of that we've got for the tribe is the Rebellious Business Network, which I've checked this morning with 3,900 members in there. It's going up. We're nearly at the 4,000 mark, but it's a really, really awesome group, and it's generated a lot of revenue for a lot of our clients, that promotion pass, plus us, of course. And it's a lovely, lovely community and an awesome space. One of the ways that we support our members in the tribe to, well, build some credibility in that group, so they're seen as an expert within the group rather than just a member of the group, is that we provide the opportunity for them to run workshops and sessions. And Jennifer facilitates those where she runs the call, streams it into the group, introduces you and your expertise. You then deliver that live session. She manages the chat and gets any questions for you to answer at the end, and then closes off the call. And it's a really good opportunity for you to, one, get in front of the Rebellious Business Network as one of our group experts, and two, document on your own socials that you are doing speaking gigs, because you can be saying like, oh, I'm speaking into the Rebellious Business Network today about this. And I find that once you start declaring that you're getting those kind of opportunities, often people come knocking at your door and say, hey, would you be up for coming to speak into my community? Or, oh, I've got this summit coming up. Can you come and speak? And you start to sort of be positioned more as a speaker and get more of those opportunities, which in turn help you grow your audience and get in front of more people, etc. So in terms of running sessions for us, and I had a message from someone the other day who was like, can I come on your podcast? It's like, well, the only people that are really running sessions for us in that way is us supporting them to build that credibility by giving them that spotlight inside the Rebellious Business Network and on our business page with those live expert sessions. So
And we have now got 3,900 people in the Rebellious Business Network.
I said that, yeah, we're nearly at 4,000. We're really not far away from it. So yes, the answer is, Kishan, if you are in the Rebels Business Tribe, talk to Jennifer. If you are not in the Rebels Business Tribe and you want to learn more about it, there is a page that I can link you into just now. And basically that just explains how the promo pass works, what the tribe is about. And when you're in the tribe, then all you need to do is reach out to Jennifer. Jennifer will bring you for a welcome call and be around, and you'll get to know Jennifer well if you're in the tribe. She is head of client happiness and mother hen of our members in the tribe. But there is a link to the tribe there. The one with the thumbnail of me doing this, which needs changing, that thumbnail. It's not a very good thumbnail. Caroline,
Yes.
that might be a wrap. Are you feeling better?
Yeah.
Good. Me too. Well, have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you back here next week at 10:30 a.m. In the meantime, please do drop something on the Spill It link, which is in the description of this video. And Jennifer's also posting it into the Rebellious Business Network. If there's something you would love us to talk about, hash out, discuss, debate, reveal, uncover, declare, whatever you want, live here on the show, we're open to it. So just drop it in the Spill It link and we will get to it. And all you've then got to do is tune in next week at 10:30 a.m. to see if we decided to run with it. So that's all from us. Over and out.